Welcome to Restaurant Influencers presented by Entrepreneur. My name is Sean Walchef, founder of Cali Barbecue and Cali Barbecue Media. I want to give a special shout out to Toast, our primary technology partner in our barbecue restaurant. So many of the guests that we have on our show power their restaurants with Toast. We appreciate them for believing in smartphone storytelling. In life, in the restaurant business, and in the new creator economy, we learn through lessons and stories. We're really excited with this show that it allows us to meet with the guys and the girls that are playing the game within the game in the hospitality business. Today, we have a very special guest, Mateo Marietti. He is the co-founder and CEO of CookUnity. Mateo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for having me.
I'm so fired up to talk to you. The more that I learn about CookUnity, we had Chef Fabio Viviani on the show. He is a partner with CookUnity, and he couldn't say better things about the work that you guys are doing to help scale his brand. And he's got a international brand, and the fact that he had such good things to say about you, I couldn't get more excited to have you on the show. So I'm going to start with our favorite random question, which is, where in the world is your favorite stadium, stage, or venue?
Okay, this one is easy. My favorite stadium is in my home country, Argentina, in the city of Buenos Aires, where my soccer team called River Plate plays there. So it's the River Plate Stadium.
River Plate. Okay, how many people fit in River Plate?
So River Plate is 80,000.
80,000 fans.
Yeah, a pretty big stadium, pretty wild.
Okay.
Passionate soccer supporters there.
So we're gonna talk to Entrepreneur. I'm gonna talk to Toast, CookUnity. We're gonna get the best of the best all over the globe. The people that are super fans of hospitality, super fans of the creator economy, people that love taking care of people and love food. And we're gonna put them all in the stadium, and I'm gonna put you right in the center stadium. And I'm gonna give you a mic, and you're gonna give us a 2-minute drill of who's Mateo and what's CookUnity. Can you do it?
We can do it.
You can't raise a bunch of money unless you can do it. So let's go. This is your entrepreneur pitch. Here we go.
Nice. I will focus more on the CookUnity journey than the Mateo journey. But
okay.
Like briefly about me, I'm from Argentina. I was born in a farm in Argentina, highly like agricultural country, and my family, my father is a farmer, so always connected to food from different angles. And since I was 21, I started kind of building from different angles in the food sector. So I have a previous company before CookUnity that was also in the intersection of food, logistics, and technology. A few dozens cloud kitchens, virtual kitchens, so basically restaurants without storefront and virtual brands. That gave me the basics of understanding the consumer, food, culinary, excellence, operations, culture, but also gave me a lot of insights on the chef journey and the chef personality and what's important for them. So by understanding a little bit better what modern eater consumers were looking for, and by understanding a little bit more the chef journey, the idea for CookUnity came along. Basically, the original idea for CookUnity is relatively simple, but it hasn't been done before. That is, wouldn't be better to connect directly the person creating and cooking the amazing dishes with the people like enjoying and looking for those dishes? And instead of a vertically integrated model, because it doesn't matter if it is a restaurant, fine dining restaurant, QSR, whatever, they're all vertically integrated, where the company decides what the brand is, what the menu is, who the head chef is, the cooks, trains everyone. And CookUnity is a much more horizontal platform, where it's a two-sided marketplace, where we are the middleman. We provide tools, infrastructure, technology, marketing. But what we really want is to see the creators shine. We want to get out of the way as soon as they have everything they need. And we really enjoy just nurturing that relationship between the creator and their fans. So in the current form, CookUnity provides weekly meal plans to everyone in the continental US. We have 7 kitchens, New York, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, Austin, Seattle, LA. And from those kitchens, we ship nationwide. And we have chefs from all those kitchens, all those cities. We have more than 100 chefs. We're doing above 1 million meals a month currently.
1 million meals a month. Amazing.
Yes, so lots of variety because it's not one restaurant doing one cuisine. It's like having dozens of restaurants under the same roof. But that roof is literally our kitchens, but for the consumer is an app, right? So they can find Fabio's meals, but they can also find Marford Jones meals and Esther Choice meals and Eight Nuts and a lot of like non-famous, but equally talented and passionate chefs that normally they wouldn't have the means to be entrepreneurs and have their own brands, but with CookUnity is much easier for them.
It's amazing. It's so exciting for me, you know, hosting this show. We're a barbecue media company, and what we talk about a lot is the intersection between content, commerce, and communication. And most of that is happening now on these devices. And when I think of my restaurant journey, being in a village, we opened in 2008, our barbecue restaurant, and we struggled. It was very difficult to learn how to get people to care about what we were doing. And we had to rely on Web 2.0 came out once these apps started coming out. And for us, it was driving business. How do we drive business? How do we get people to come and care? But now we're looking at different models and having conversations with people like you that are helping chefs and restaurant owners think bigger. How do you think bigger? How do you leverage technology? How do you start to build community on apps where people can get slow food fast? That's what we call it. And what you do is you do an incredible job of bringing in creators, these chefs, into a place where they can literally scale their concept beyond their village. And I like to focus on village. My grandfather is from Bulgaria. My wife is from Bulgaria. So it's easy for me to relate to the village mentality. But when I think about profitability in the food space, it's very difficult to be profitable unless you're leveraging technology, unless you're partnering with someone like you. Can you talk about, bring me back to the pain points of what you found when you first opened up your first restaurant? Sushi Pop.
Yeah, so in my previous business, we had more than 10 brands total, but a sushi concept, Sushi Pop, was the most popular one. And with that concept, we scaled and we have franchises in Brazil, in Peru, and other parts of Argentina. I think there is I mean, any restaurateur, front of the house, back of the house, new in the industry or like already experienced, I think we will all more or less share the same things we're passionate about and the same struggles that we like to fix if we could. And we kind of happily choose the combo, but there are some non-ideal parts of it that if we can find a way to do it much easier, it would be awesome. Apart from the kind of, if you like, the kind of learning curve of a newcomer coming to the industry, so basic stuff like permitting or like kitchen's layout. once you learn them, you kind of get those skills and you can optimize them, but those are fine. I think the biggest challenges are, it's really hard. It's not extremely difficult to create a concept that consumers will be attracted to. I think food consumers are so generous in the things they want to try, and like more or less that I think is relatively easy to do. But to execute that consistently on a daily basis with excellence, and at the same time have a culture that employees look forward to come in every day, and at the same time have healthy margins, like all that combined for a long period of time, that is hard, right? So that is where you go to your systems, to your culture, to like menu design, and you go to the model, like should it be like full service restaurant, like what is the right size, and like all that is highly technical, but also a lot of nuance because there's not a perfect formula. And I think that is what is harder about the restaurant, right? And that is why there is moments where a combination of these factors are just a sweet spot that works so well. And those restaurants that you see that are successful year over year, and they definitely do things really well, but they don't do things 10 times better than other restaurants that also do things well. And sometimes it's something else, right? And it's hard to understand the ambience, the name, because food is also very social, especially when it comes to restaurants. My experience has been more in the delivery aspect of restaurants, even though I do own and have built and open restaurants, and I know that part as well.
Why delivery? I think it's very important, and I don't think it's discussed enough in the traditional restaurant sense. Why delivery?
In my case, I think it was a combination of two things. One, when I started, I was 21, and of my generation back then, I felt that people like me, leaving their parents' houses and like starting to see a kind of full adult life, what it felt like a big chore to like grocery shopping, chop, cook, clean every day, every single meal. It was like, okay, this is a really inconvenient part of adulthood. how can I fix this? And it's like, okay, price point wise, I can pay this, but this is not great food.
Yeah.
And the food I love, but I cannot afford it. So like, okay, how do I solve this? So the virtual kitchen model in back then was just a simple solution to, we love restaurant food, but we cannot afford it. How we can make restaurant food cheaper, right?
Mhm.
And then restaurants pay a high premium for location because it's very important to be in the nice neighborhoods and a nice street and all those things, and pay a lot of investment in nice decor and this and that. So a virtual brand can remove all that. Of course, you're also removing a lot of the great things from restaurants. So like, I'm not the anti-restaurant at all. I'm just like recognizing that there is another use case that restaurants are not perfectly designed to solve.
Yes. Yep. So when you're in Argentina and you've opened up, you have Sushi Pop as one of the concepts, the most successful concept. What leads you to CookUnity? Do you remember?
Let's say now that in that particular story, if this was a movie, I hope nobody is one. I don't think it will be that fun. But the now we're like 8 years in that journey, in that business, and that's a business that is doing well and like is great, and I'm learning, and then like some failing, some like improvement, but generally speaking, a bunch of brands that customers like, and a healthy business. But I think that it was because of that experience, I was exposed to 3 points of views or 3 insights. One is the chef or the cook journey that I mentioned before. Kind of someone that comes more like from farming than restaurants. It was a little bit what is the right word? It was humbling and like it didn't feel right that a person that decides to make a career, to make a living cooking for others, and that is very much driven by passion and by creativity and like this artistic desire. In most cases, the day-to-day reality of their jobs does not look like that. They do not have any creative freedom. They are not like creating amazing recipes, talking to customers. Like that's not the reality. So that's number one. Number two, on the customer side, food is one of the largest consumer categories. Like, I don't know how many, like trillion plus, big industry, blah, blah, blah. But I will argue that customers are always looking for new things and not necessarily satisfied. They're looking like always trying different things. And you don't have in food one brand that owns 30% of the burger market share, right? Like even the biggest brands, companies have a tiny fraction. And to me, that is a sign that customers always want to try new things. And food, apart from I need to feed myself, and that like, I don't know, food is fuel. Food is also social connections and nostalgia and culture and like traveling the world and all these cultures. So food is so multidimensional that the second insight is customers really want choice, really want to try a lot of different things. So that's number two. And number three is really hard to scale high quality food. If you look the landscape, the higher quality food products live in the fine dining restaurants, which is usually one location, maybe a couple. The chef is there every day. It's very much an artistic endeavor, like very much craftsmanship and looking at all the details day in, day out. And it's not easy to scale that. So the combination of these 3 points of views led to the idea of CookUnity and creating a two-sided marketplace, more inspired by the sharing economy and companies like Airbnb or Etsy, and say, if you create the set of tools, the incentives, the infrastructure that these creators need, they already know how to do great food. They're like masters at that. What they're not masters at that, or they don't enjoy doing, is accounting and this and that, permitting. So that's the essence of idea.
So once you have that idea, what did you tell? Did you talk to your wife about it? How did it go? How did it go from you're in Argentina to you're opening up your first CookUnity location in Brooklyn?
In this particular case, that is very relevant because
Because this is for entrepreneur and the people that
well,
listen to this,
you
they
know,
either are in business or they want to be in business.
my wife is in the team, and she joined the
Yes.
company in the second year. She's like a late co-founder in the business, so it was very important. But it also was important because on a personal level, I felt that this is not a business that I should build in Argentina or in South America. I thought that this is a business that should start in the US or Europe, kind of culinary centers of the world, startups, venture capital, consumers that are willing to try more modern approaches, and kind of everything from the capital ecosystem to consumers to technology available to even regulations that allow for a model like this. So we quickly decide New York as a city with a great combination of both a startup, tech startup scene, but also a culinary scene. I also thought it could be cool to build a brand that is New York born, and like if the brand succeed in New York, it would be a great thing to scale to other places, being a New York company, a New York brand.
Yep.
But it did require, in my case, to move to another country. So it didn't start from the moment I had the idea to the moment CookUnity officially started. Maybe it was 3 years or like 2 years and a half. I also had to replace myself as the CEO of the previous company, which is not an easy process. So it was a long journey, but we only been 4.5 years with the official CookUnity journey.
When you look back at the CookUnity journey, where you are now, opening up in all these new markets, raising capital, second round that you raised, can you share a story? It's hard when you're in the trees to look at the forest. Can you share a story where you look back and you go, we're really onto something? Was it closing a seed round? Was it opening a new location? Was it bringing on a chef that you were recruiting? Was it adding a team member?
Yeah, no, I think there is a bunch of those moments. As equally, there is a bunch of those moments where you feel
what
like,
are we doing?
and you feel like the imposter syndrome, and it's like, what is all this illusion that is in my head? Like, probably nobody else cares about this. But the first big, deep, visceral moment that we felt that was a few months after the pandemic started, like let's say June, July 2020. The company was small enough back then that there was really no real non-vanity metric sign to feel that before, because even our seed round that happened a few months before in December 2019 was a great event for the company, but still so early that we didn't feel that way. And I tend to think that capital milestones shouldn't be necessarily the main
Sure.
sign for that. But what happened for us, which was like very, very deep in how it is connected to our mission, is that when we were in New York, right? So the pandemic hit differently in different places, but like New York, March was kind of at the center of it, at least in the US. And the first few months, apart from all the things that we all live in terms of risks and like information and how you keep operating with all this, all that part, we didn't see a meaningful change in our sales or anything like that. Probably because we were very, very, very small. Our marketing budget was very, very, very minimal at the moment. So we didn't benefit, if you like, from what happened when people stay at home, that went to the food brands that they had in their minds, right? Like, so people came back to HelloFresh, came back to Whole Foods, Amazon Fresh, Instacart, whatever it is. People didn't know us, so like they couldn't go to something that they didn't know. But a few months after that, so June, July, what happened is that some of the best chefs in the city, at that moment we were only in New York, so some of the chefs that we admire and we were like internally, it would be awesome to have X, Y, and Z. And we were in different ways trying to convince them to join. Yes. And they will always say something like, oh, this concept is awesome. Like I was thinking in something like this. Maybe next year I'm opening a new restaurant this year. So it was like never any sort of urgency, right? It was like something cute. Sure. That I might explore in the future. Obviously, it changed. Chefs at the beginning, they had to like protect their employees, protect like the most important things. Many closed their restaurants temporarily. But as chefs started to look what was next, CookUnity was one of the options out there. And many of those chefs that we admire in New York joined the platform in May, June, July, August. And that moment, all of a sudden, demand started increasing. Some PR started happening, like the Wall Street Journal calling us the next Spotify for food and things like that. That is like, okay, now we have a momentum. And the why for this, that it was clear in our mind. But at some point, if investors don't care, talent don't care, chefs don't care, you start like questioning if that why is
Yes,
relevant.
correct.
So I guess that was the most important moment. And we kind of never looked back. It was kind of an inflection point, and we continue growing steadily since then.
I mean, it's so important for anybody that's listening to this show. We talk about how important it is to clarify your message. And, you know, it's hard when you say something as grandiose as the Spotify of food. How do you live up to the Spotify of food? But it helps the consumer understand a complex business. You know, it's not, you know, understanding what CookUnity is and what you provide for a chef and what you provide for a consumer on a subscription basis. Those are things that you guys need to clarify as in your marketing material, in your PR material, your press material. How do you live up to that? How do you live up to a Spotify of food labeling?
I think the hard part, and what is very much a work in progress, and I found much harder this time than in my previous experience to get right, is the simple, concise, but powerful message that resonates. Yes. You need to make it easy for the audience, the world out there, to share verbally with others what you're about. Like you won't manage that narrative fully, but you need to make it easy for people to explain, oh, you know what, I found this concept, it's awesome, it's X, Y, and Z. Like that will happen. And it's in your benefit that happens similar to what you wanted to happen, right? So that is extremely hard, but sometimes it happens very naturally. Like in this sushi brand, it happens very naturally because I think the moment in time we hit, like basically because it was a cloud kitchen model, we could save a lot of fixed cost and we could put a product out there that was 40% cheaper than other sushis. And in that moment in Argentina, sushi was relatively a luxury product. And we kind of make it more available, affordable for everyone. So the tagline was sushi for everyone, and the concept was very clear. So it's the sushi that I like, but instead of a special occasion every quarter, now I can have it every week. So that was really easy. It clicked many boxes, and it was in sync. CookUnity is a much more complex concept. There's like so many things, and it's like, well, there's a real chefs, but you know what? That's very important. But like, there's also hundreds of recipes, and that's also very important. And you know what? Like the quality is really good, and you know what? The price point is very affordable. But hey, the fact that the price is really affordable shouldn't confuse you in the fact that these are real. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I want to believe that in a few years, looking back, this will be normal. When, like, I mean, it was crazy 10 years ago to think about renting someone's bedroom.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Or getting into a stranger's car.
Insane, right?
Yeah.
So this, I mean, I want to take the optimistic view here, of course, and say like, okay, these kind of novel concepts takes more time until something click and it becomes the new norm.
Well, I think it's very exciting, especially for any of the chefs or restaurateurs that are listening to this. Can you speak directly to them? You know, I know you have chefs that are doing over $1 million in revenue, multiple cities. It's absolutely incredible, the business model that you built. But, you know, especially for this show, because we focus on business owners, entrepreneurs. We're great in real life at doing what we do best. We're just not very good at media and social media. So my hope is to inspire chefs and entrepreneurs and restaurant owners to start to understand no one else is going to go tell our story. It's great to have a great PR firm. It's great to have, you know, natural organic press, but you got to use the tools that are available to you. And when you do, a rising tide lifts all ships. So you have all of these creators that are coming under one roof, under a beautiful name, CookUnity. And now they're putting out content like Chef Fabio Viviani saying, hey, I'm opening up in this market. Now all of his Instagram followers, there's hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers, the other chefs that have hundreds of thousands of TikTok followers, all of those people are spreading awareness for CookUnity, which gets you more consumers that go, oh my God, this is amazing. And then on the reverse side, those consumers, they get that package and the package is so sexy, the food is so good. What do? They go on their phones and they upload it to Instagram, or they put it on TikTok, or they make a YouTube video about it. Now you have this ecosystem that is literally, it's your own generating flywheel of press and PR.
Well, I appreciate you describing what we do.
I'm sharing the secret sauce. I mean, maybe the media sausage is how it gets made.
It did sound wonderful when you were telling it. So I will leave this conversation inspire and energize myself. But I think the important part for chefs and restaurateurs is we care deeply. So a few things. We care deeply about this industry.
Yeah.
Everyone in the company comes from the industry from one angle or another one, from a previous food startup, restaurant group, this, that. We have a lot of transformed chefs that now are on the corporate side. But I mean, we do care about the industry. I won't say all the reasons why we should care about the industry. I think that's obvious, but we want to be a positive actor here, and we admire the craftsmanship of the chefs. We admire the role that restaurants have in our society. If you go back to the etymology of the word restaurant, comes from the French word restaurer, that means to restore, right? This was designed as a place to stop at some point in the day, recharge, food, social connection, and continue with the day. What a beautiful place in the world. I think you can imagine a very futuristic city and still will have restaurants, right? So, sure. But I think the problem, and something that maybe like it wasn't a problem before in a world that was less digital or like less dynamic and people live outside cities as well, the problem that we're trying to solve primarily is the access problem. Yes. So if you're a successful restaurateur or chef that own a restaurant or work in a great restaurant, your impact is not that big. Your reach is not that big, even a successful one, right? Yes. So the average restaurant might have like 80, 100, 120 people going a day. Obviously, there is bigger restaurants, but sure. You're not cooking or feeding a lot of people. You're not like your recipes, your talent is not being enjoyed by a lot of people. If you're in DoorDash or Uber Eats, that's awesome, but usually they will do like 2-3 miles around the city. So at best, you're really feeding, or you're available for your neighborhood, and maybe some people will move around. So I think there is a big access and reach issue on the seller side and the creator side, but also on the customer side. If you live in San Diego and like close to the beach, you'll have like whatever is like 3-4 miles around. If you live in downtown, and if you live in LA, West LA, you have like some West LA options, probably not even all West LA, but you won't get downtown options, and you get the point, right? Same with all the cities. And if you live in the suburbs, even less. You open Uber Eats, DoorDash, you have like 15 options. It's not as exciting as in the cities. So I think the easy point is great food is not accessible equally, evenly, and for both sides. So what the first thing that we're trying to do with CookUnity is like improve that reach and improve that access. So if you're a creator, we're not telling you like, hey, shut down your restaurant and move here. We're telling you like, keep doing what you do. People love what you do. We just want you to amplify the reach.
Yes.
We want thousands of people per day to enjoy your recipes versus hundreds. We have the bestseller chefs are getting to the 10,000 plus meals. Awesome. We have 2 chefs doing more than $2 million a year in income.
Wow.
More than 20% of our chefs making more than $1 million in income. It's a function of them growing their teams, going to our cities. But it's much easier if you're in New York, for example, to open LA through CookUnity, that you won't need to do any raising capital, finding the right location, permitting, that is particularly crazy in LA. You just need to build a team, right? So what we say to creators is, look, People admire your talent, your craft. We just want to amplify it. And please focus on the 3 things that you do great and you love to do, which is creating amazing meals or food products, building teams that are proud to cook those food products and like well trained to do so. We don't want to do licensing for that reason. Like generally speaking, licensing is not well designed to be a win-win for both. At some point, someone unhappy with that deal. There could be clever ways to do it. So potentially in the future. And the third thing is build your audience, build your fan base, which is very much close to your mission, right? I don't think in the current world is enough to have a great product if you don't distribute it, right? You need to find ways to distribute it.
Well, the beautiful thing, and the thing that, I mean, I'm getting fired up over here, but the beautiful thing is that you don't need to go and create CookUnity. You've done it. You've done all the hard work for the chefs. And what I talk to restaurant owners all the time is we don't need to go create TikTok. I don't need to go create Instagram. YouTube is already there. We have all of these tools to connect with a global audience. And depending on the logistics side, you know, you guys are figuring out nationwide shipping, but there's going to be a time, I'm sure CookUnity will figure out how to be in international markets. I mean, that's not crazy to think. I mean, somebody that came from a farm in Argentina to think about what you've built now, to look back and go, this is only the beginning of where we're going to go digitally, connecting creators all around the world. Because I know the things that I talk about when I go to Toronto to speak to restaurant owners or hotel operators. I tell them the same things that I speak to my friends in Bulgaria that own small delivery pizza shops and delivery kufteta businesses. These are all the same conversations that you had in Argentina, you're having now over and over and over. But it's how do we find the best of the best, the people that are going to help us with a true mission of sustainability? Because it's not about quick profits. You know, if you're talking about really truly making an impact in food, really truly making an impact in business, making my family proud, my kids proud, your kids proud, we have to do something that we're going to look back on, that we're going to say we actually did good. Can you talk about your packaging?
Yes. I can talk about packaging, and I would like to share a few more thoughts about sustainability in a broad sense.
Yes,
like impacting in a broad sense. So sustainability is a big topic that I think the first thing that we need to be mindful about is just don't overuse it. Don't like really respect the whole thing, right? Like acknowledge the responsibility that we have. None of our existing models are net positive yet. Not CookUnity, like no one.
Yes.
So like we don't talk a lot about sustainability as a company, not because we don't care. I think we do much more behind the scenes than what we say we do because of that reason, because we think that it's a topic that we need to be humble and just like shut up and build and do the basics for some time. But I can tell you what we're doing, and I can tell you a little bit how we see this. We had a lot of discussions at the beginning of CookUnity talking like, should it be all organic? Should it will be like, what is sustainability? Like, how do you decide what is the best design to make the biggest impact or the lowest impact, depending how you see it, right? And it's not an easy thing. I would love that everyone has a more honest conversation about this, right? Like, it's not an obvious decision. Like, do you do all organic? Is that the best decision? What, like, pros and cons? Who can pay it? Can we produce all the food that we need with that? So it's hard. So I can tell you, like, there is one thing that there is no nuance and not like kind of different angles, which is packaging. And it's just a net negative to have tons of packaging that you waste every time. So we put that as our first priority, and we prioritize creating the first zero waste packaging program in the country, and we're close to that goal. Not yet there, but very close. So 75% of the zip codes that order CookUnity can benefit for what we call this program, that is a reusable packaging program. So every week when you get CookUnity, the local courier that goes and drop off the bag, is a reusable insulated bag, can also take whatever you have from CookUnity from the previous weeks. So the bag, the ice packs, all that thing you can reuse, return it, and CookUnity will like sanitize and reuse it. We're introducing shortly the meal container that will be reusable. You will be able to put it in the dishwasher, rinse, and give back. There will be an opt-in program. So when that happens, there will be effectively zero waste for customers that choose to do so. And then for lower density zip codes, we still ship in boxes with FedEx and UPS and those types of carriers, and is a non-optimal solution. And we're still working on ways to figure that out, but it's hard because of density. On the ingredient side, well, the food production side, we have zero waste because we cook with confirmed orders. So one of the reasons why we chose to be a subscription service. When you think about, I think
confirmed orders, that's a big deal when you're talking to restaurant owners. I mean, catering business, a subscription, that now you're talking about some really cool stuff.
It's unfortunate because, you know, as a society, we cannot reset. We cannot say like, look, what is really, really, really important for society, and let's pay the fair price for everything.
Yeah.
We pay like much higher price for some things that are not so important, and much lower price for some things that are like food.
Yes.
And like, I think it's just a shame that is so unfairly retributed, right? Like the hard work that happens behind the kitchens. And one thing that, if you think about it, is pretty crazy, is that you have this concept of mise en place, and you do your best to prepare the sauces and some chopping, but you have no idea who will be coming.
Yep.
Right? You
Correct.
How many, what they will order. So like, order number 1, table 5, want the chicken with risotto, and you do one portion, and 10 minutes later you have another portion. Like that's really inefficient. So in CookUnity, chefs know we have a consumer app and we have a chef app, and chefs will know the day before cooking exactly how many of each recipe they need to cook, and when they do the cooking, it's a totally different production organization, because they know that they're cooking 200 of this dish. And we give them exactly the amount of ingredients that they need. And in that sense, is great because we have much lower waste. And we know that around 30% of the food that we produce in the world is going to waste. So that's a good solution. The part that is much harder is to only source our ingredients that are produced with the highest standards for the planet, which right now that should be regenerative agriculture. For seafood, it will be very few places where you can buy. I think oceans are the word, like the current state, the most negative state right now. It's really hard. So for that, we're making improvements every quarter, semester, but it's really hard to have everything. We will introduce in a few months a line that is only like wild salmon, grass-fed beef, and it will have a premium cost, and customers can decide if they want to do that, regenerative agriculture. But it's hard. I think it's much more romantic to say that you buy directly from farmers than the real logistics, the real food safety challenges of that, and others.
I appreciate that, and I thank you for taking the time to call that out, because it is easy to say sustainability, but then when you look at your own practices, I mean, if I look at my own practices in my house, you know, my wife and I, she just started composting at our house, and it was the first time that they actually come and collect compost as a city, the city that we live in Chula Vista. Like, but now, and I look up and down my street, and we might have one of the only trash cans that is composting. You know, so it's like, but if I don't do my part with my wife, and then I don't work on my restaurant and figure out how to, in my restaurant, if we all don't do our part, then we're just talking about something. We're not putting any action behind it. So thank you for saying that. I wanted to let you get a chance to talk about anything that you guys have coming up. What do you, anything launching CookUnity? Have any exciting news you want to break on entrepreneur.com?
Yeah, there is a few, but there is one. So a few that are like behind the scenes, and will take a few quarters to see it.
Okay.
There's one that is already happening in New York as our test market. The company has been focused on expanding geographically the last 18 months. We were in New York only, and now we have nationwide coverage, and we have these 7 kitchens, and we plan to open more kitchens. But that we're very happy with that progress, because now chefs can open in different regions, etc. The next priority for us as a company, as a team now, and what gets us super excited at the moment, is new product lines. So launching new type of food products. CookUnity launched first a prepare meals solution. So that is great for people that don't want to cook or are busy. But there's a lot of people that want to do some cooking, or a lot of cooking, or depending on the day of the week, or depending on the month. And we're now launching different categories. So mix and match or size and proteins. So maybe you want to cook something, but maybe you don't want to do a kimchi, or you don't know how to do a kimchi, right? Or it's like your favorite chef braised pork that you don't want to braise for 24 hours, right? Or roast. So that is one category. Then everything breakfast and drinks and things like that, sauces, condiments, dressings, family and kids versions. We'll launch a lot of different categories. Some of those are already live in New York, and we're very excited that already 40% of our customers are choosing those products on a weekly basis. That will be what will be up to the next year or year and a half. And we're excited to hear feedback from customers. So everyone that is in the Northeast region, please try it out and share feedback with us directly with me. They can send me an email at mateo@cookunity.com. We're happy to hear the feedback. But what we really want is CookUnity to become the primary destination for the best food creators and the best food products in this country. And it doesn't matter if you want to cook some or you want like a fully cooked solution. It doesn't matter what diet or cuisine or type of food you want. We should have everything.
That's great. So anybody that's listening to this, we want you to feel like you're part of the conversation. So every Wednesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, we host a room on the social audio app Clubhouse. Please come into the room, share your story. If you're a cook, if you're a restaurant owner, let us know you heard this conversation. We also give social shout outs to people that come into those rooms, but also people that are on the teams that are out there doing the work. And today's social shout out goes to Bernice Robles, and she is our pit master at Cali Barbecue. She is the one that is smoking the 250 racks of ribs on a Father's Day or a NFL Sunday. She does an incredible job. She has no problem with me being on TikTok live showing off all the work that she's doing with the brisket and the pork butts, and we can't do it without our team. So that this week's shout out goes to Bernice. But I wanted to give you, Mateo, a chance to, I know you have a big organization, hundreds of employees, but is there somebody that you want to shout out on entrepreneur.com, somebody that's gone above and beyond recently?
Yeah, because this was a topic in our company internal communication chat right before I joined this conversation. I will choose that one, but more as a symbol of all the folks that are doing all this amazing work, so customers can magically receive a high quality meal in their homes. The LA team was sharing some photos of a dinner that they had yesterday with the dishwashing team.
Yeah,
like a recognition dinner where like everyone, chefs, CookUnity team, treat the dishwashers in that kitchen and recognize their hard work and all the everything they do. It's so easy to take those things for granted, right? But we know what it looks like when we don't have those positions in the kitchen. So I want to particularly recognize the dishwashing team in LA, but all our dishwashing teams and really everyone behind the kitchens.
That's amazing. Yeah, if you guys want to connect with me, it's at Sean P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. I'm weirdly available, so don't worry if you send me a message on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. All of it is all good. Mateo, how can people get in touch with CookUnity? You guys have an awesome Instagram account. Go to @CookUnity. We'll put a link in the show notes. I saw you launched your TikTok channel. I expect to see all kinds of chef collaborations on your TikTok channel. But what's the best way for people to find out more about CookUnity?
Yeah, at CookUnity in Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. If they want to share some feedback or direct message with me on Twitter or LinkedIn or Mateo at CookUnity, email for any idea, feedback, constructive criticism. And if any restaurant or chef want to apply to bring their brand to our platform, we have a section called Become a Chef in our platform, or they can send me an email directly.
And do you have any favorite quotes that you'd like to end with? Any piece of advice or favorite quote?
Oof. I have many. I'm like a quotes type guy.
I'll put you on the spot.
No. I tell you which one I will choose and why. What's the reason? This will be the second time that I choose a soccer related answer. But we're in the World Cup, right? And like
Yes.
this is a time of every 4 years, so I'm allowed to skew everything to soccer. My team, Argentina, lost pretty miserably yesterday in the World Cup, and we are like very passionate people about soccer. It's very.
You can say that.
I was reasonably depressed for 24 hours, and remind me one of my favorite quotes that is from the great philosopher Mike Tyson that says like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think in the restaurant industry, like I use that quote a lot, right? You open a new restaurant, new concept, you think you have everything figured out. This is awesome. People will love it. You imagine the ambience there and everything. And then like things maybe don't happen as you expected. And
yes.
That quote, give me some resilience over the years.
Yes, resilience is definitely what we need. That's a great quote. I'll leave you with mine from the great philosopher Winnie the Pooh, and it's "We will be friends forever. Just you wait and see." So if you guys are listening to this show, we appreciate you. We know we're fortunate to be with Entrepreneur, reach millions of people. To have guests like Mateo on with what you're doing with CookUnity gets me fired up. I know we're exactly where we're supposed to be. I can't wait to see what you guys do. I'm looking forward. I'm going to be up in LA sometime in January with my team to check out CookUnity. So I'll get some more. If you go on Cali BBQ Media, if you go on our Instagram page, we'll put some behind the scenes content. But love what you guys are doing. Mateo, thank you so much. Good luck to your Argentinian team. I hope you you guys keep it moving forward.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you to the audience.
And a special thank you to our title sponsor, Toast. Toast is the primary technology partner that we use at our restaurant, Cali Barbecue. It is also the primary technology partner that so many of the guests have shared with us on this show. People like Sam the Cooking Guy, Stacy Poonkinney, Jeff Alexander. So many times the guests tell us that they're using Toast when we didn't even know that going into the interview. That is why we are so grateful that they sponsor this show. We want you to win. You that listen to this show, we want you to improve your digital hospitality. Toast is built for restaurants and it's built for you. Toast is the restaurant-first platform that's built for your needs, whatever your size, concept, or ambitions. Improve your bottom line with a customizable platform that's easy to learn, use, and grow with. And it meets you where you are with all the right tools for your price point. If you have any questions about Toast, please DM me at Sean P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. I will get you the link to the right Toast contact in your market. It's so important that if you listen to this show, that you win. We want you to be on this show eventually. Let us know that you heard the show, you heard about Toast, you implemented Toast, you did a Toast unboxing in your restaurant. Talk to us about how you've impacted your village, your city, your community. Share your Toast story with us. DM me today to learn more, and be sure to check out Toast.